history. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of THub and the government of Telangana, I invite all of you to the launch of the world's largest innovation campus, which is spread over massive 18 acres, over 5,85,000 square feet of this beautiful incubation, which is going to house over 2,000 startups. Yes, THub today, in its brand new avatar, as THub Phase 2, which is almost 5 times the capacity of THub. Ladies and gentlemen, this calls for a huge round of applause, I believe. Let's give it up for THub Phase 2 as we prepare for its grand launch today. THub Phase 2, which is going to be the world's largest incubator for innovation in the form of innovative and creative startups. It's also going to be a host for T-Works, which is India's largest prototyping center, which is going to be opened up in a few days from now. And apart from that, it is also going to host Image, which is a space for housing innovation in multimedia, animation, gaming, and entertainment. That's THub Phase 2 along with T-Works and Image. Please give it up. Huge round of applause. Everybody, I should have a loud applause. The whole floor should be resonating with energy right now. As we gear up to realize that Hyderabad is going to be the world's first city to host the world's largest innovation campus. Let's kickstart this historic day by inviting onto this Diamond Center our very first keynote speaker. And may I make my way back as I introduce this wonderfully talented and this knowledgeable speaker who's going to kickstart the day today for us. The stage belongs to you and the mic is all yours. Let's kickstart the session. Yes, sir, absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks again. Good morning, everyone. So I hope you're all doing well. So it's such a proud moment for all of us, especially I assume many of you are Hyderabadis here. It's such a proud moment. So happy to be associated with this event. Thanks to the organizing team for having me here. So the session, I assume you would be knowing, it is about selecting the right co-founder. I got to know about this only 2 days back. So I thought it is little ironical because many of you would have already started the companies. So which means you would have already selected co-founders, right? I mean that was at least my assumption. Just to validate that, how many of you already started the companies? I mean how many of you are already entrepreneurs? Okay, so then there is nothing much, probably what I'm going to say help you. But anyway, I mean, I'll try, at least for the sake of people, who haven't started this yet. So as she introduced me, I was a consultant before starting Darwinbox. So consultant means, you need to put everything in a framework, right? So sometimes, you tend to force fit also. So now, before coming here, I thought, okay, TK, what should be the framework for okay, sure. So before coming here, I was just thinking, okay, what should be the framework for selecting the right co-founder? So I arrived at a framework. So I'll just take you through this framework. While doing that, happy to share some of our personal experiences. So Jayant, Rohit, and myself, we started Darwinbox in late 2015. It's been over 6 years. A proud Hyderabadi company. So just reflecting on our journey, needless to say, before starting entrepreneurship can never be, or at least, okay, I don't advise that to be a, one person's journey. So if you had to start, I strongly recommend not to do it alone. So do have 1 or 2 good co-founders. 3 is a good number. So don't ever do entrepreneurship on your own. So at least it's all about good times and bad times, right? I mean, more bad times than good times. So you really need a shoulder to lean your head on in those times, because these are the only people that you can share very honestly the real pains. So don't ever do entrepreneurship alone. Second, at least personally, I feel it's a lot about execution than idea. So I feel the worth or the merit of the idea, it's very, very overrated. So all of us cannot be Elon Musks, to do fundamental level innovations. So to figure out, okay, tomorrow I'm going to dig tunnels in the earth to solve the traffic problems, etc. So a lot of companies or a lot of ideas. So it's all about doing what is already existing, but in a much, much better way, executing it quite well. Of course, you need to find a little bit of your niche as well. So what it means is your rigor or success of execution to a large extent depends on the sort of team or the sort of founding team that's leading the idea. So to a large extent, the success or more so a failure depends to a large extent on equation between the founders. So companies, it's very, how cliched it may sound, companies fail because of equation between the founders many a times, not because of the idea or funding or execution or anything. So now, again, whatever I'm going to say, it's very, very commonsensical. I'm sure, you can relate to and you even know. So there are three things you need to look at when you want to select a right co-founder or when you want to assess how good the founding team is. So maybe from investors angle or a markets angle, etc. So one is operational skills. So very, very common, right? To run a company, you need to have certain operational skills. So operational skills, what do they mean? So again, they can be categorized at a high level into few items. So one is, needless to say, engineering. So assuming there is some tech angle in your startup, so engineering becomes extremely, extremely critical. Second is product. So while they go hand in hand, but now there is a clear segregation between product and engineering. So third is your business development. So how good a product you may build, the success, again, this is personally what I can vouch for. Earlier I used to think, so product sells itself. Okay, all that matters is building an extremely strong product, but that's not true. So you need a very, very good sales engine. You need army of people on the ground to sell the product, especially to scale the company. Maybe in the initial stages you need a very good product, but later a scaling to a large extent depends on your sales motion. So a good business development is a necessary skill to scale the company. And next is operations. So whether you are a B2C company or a B2B company or whatsoever, a D2C company, so operations, so it is where the rubber hits the ground, right? For example, for Darwinbox, we are a B2B company, SaaS company. So at the heart of one of the main things in Darwinbox is how we are implementing the product at the client's face. So for example, say if you look at our value chain, so say I build the product, Jayan sells it, and Rohit takes care of implementing that at the client place. So operations especially, they also play a major, major role. So maybe, repeating, one is product, engineering, operations, and then business development. But one thing, again, good learning for me, which I haven't foreseen before starting the company, finance and investments. So just remember, this is going to be, unfortunately, if not full, 50% of a bandwidth of a founder will be consumed on this, on finance and investments. And it is extremely critical a skill. So if you have a founder who appreciates all these things, finances and how to go and pitch to the investors, manage them, etc., will be very, very useful. So how good you may have in terms of product depth or business development or operations, if this is lacking, so you will be relying excessively on investment bankers, and that's not a good place to be, with all due respect to investment bankers. So that's where, these are 4 critical skills. So when you look at your founding team, so just ensure, if not a very, very high level of expertise, at least orientation wise, so the team can be aligned to these skills. So product, engineering, business development, operations, finance and investor relations. So these are operational skills that are required. So a second category, which is very, very underrated, is actually behavioral skills. So if I look at least Darwinbox's journey, So we wouldn't have reached where we are today. I mean, I still won't consider it very, very successful, etc. But if this thing hasn't worked out for us, behavioral skills. So extremely difficult, but you should take time in assessing these things as well. Again, if I deconstruct what do I mean by behavioral skills, so the first thing is a temperament. So for example, say someone is aggressive, say 3 founders are there, all of them are very aggressive, highly tempered, etc. I'm telling you, I mean, it's going to do. So temperament plays a major, major role. If it is balanced, someone should be neutral, someone should be at the medium level, someone should be aggressive. So that is a boon. For example, among 3 of us, Jayant is extremely temperamental. So I am somewhere in between. So Rohit is the guy who can think very, very stably, even when sky is collapsing. So for example, that is where we put him for doing all the tough conversations. So, and generally we rely on his decision in a very, very tense situation. Because many times you make mistakes under tense situations, right? I mean, when everything is fine, everyone can make very, very good decisions. So you make very bad decisions under stress and under pressure. That's where, so balanced temperament plays a major role. And the second is, again, gregariousness. So what it means is, so generally, how introvert or how extrovert someone is. So, all of you are introverts, or all of you are extremely extroverts. And again, it's not going to work out. So it'd be very useful to have a balanced perspective on gregariousness as well. So the next is, generally, maybe you may laugh at it, energy levels. So, all of you are, always, charged and pumped up and, keep bouncing all the day. Again, may not be very good. So, someone should be extremely positive, high energy. Someone should be at a mid-level, all that. So, energy levels also, I think, they play a good role. I mean, having a balanced set of energy levels among them is very, very good. So, the last one and very, very important is risk perception. So, you may see it is very, you're contradicting yourself. So, if you are not taking the risk, so then how we would have started the company. So for starting the company, the pre-requirement is your ability to take the risk, right? I mean, what is again risk perspective among the founders? So risk perspective, it is not only about starting the company. I mean, every day in your decisions, how much risk you are taking. So what it means is experimenting certain new things, and okay to fail. So because company is not unidimensional, right? I mean, you started something and it's not going to scale for 100 years. You need to keep pivot and build new things, go to the new markets, etc. So all of you are very risk averse and very, very traditional guys, and want to follow the book. It's not going to scale. At the same time, all of you are extremely high. You have extremely high propensity to risk. So you want to do new things only and take risk only. That is what it gives high. People say, right, I mean, I get high. So you are all people who get high with the risk. Basically you will never your feet will never be on the ground. You'll always be doing something in the air. So that is where this ability to take risk or risk perspective, having a balanced thing is very, very useful. So now if I repeat on behavioral things, so temperament, gregariousness, energy levels, and risk perception. So these are very, very critical things. The problem is, unlike operations, these are extremely difficult to measure, perceive, and arrive at a conclusion. At least what helped us. So we relied on 2 instruments. I strongly suggest if you are starting a company and if you want to assess how balanced your team is from this perspective, one is MBTI, very, very powerful. So second is Hogan's assessment. So Hogan's assessment, it is not only about taking assessment, but do have a coach interpreting that assessment for you. So it would be like a 10,000 or 20,000. It's a worthy investment. So they will interpret, they will look at all your assessments together and see what are going to be stress points for you when you're collectively working together. So trust me, it is a very, very worthy investment. So do that for your founding team and look at the personal areas of improvement. See, your personality won't change. Okay, so for example, just because MBTI or Hogan said something, from tomorrow you can't be someone else. You can't become a sage, right? I mean, maybe from some extreme dimension to some other extreme dimension. But the thing is, at least you will get to know what things you need to keep in mind. So in terms of decision making, etc. So you will aware of your strengths and maybe your not so strengths. So these two instruments I strongly recommend. And third is basically a good to have things. Like I said, they are good to have. These are typically questions we keep facing. One is, so if you are a technology company, should we have a tech founder? For example, we don't have a tech founder. I only manage product. So I coded in 10 years back. So I don't code. I only manage product. But if you are a core technology product, so having a good tech founder, it goes a long way. So probably, we feel if one of us is a tech founder, definitely it would have been much more useful. But you don't need to stop doing entrepreneurship just because one of you is not a tech founder, but it's good to have a tech founder. And second is, it is good to have one co-founder as a domain expert. So whatever domain you are picking, so if one of us is very, very deep in the domain, it will be very useful. So tech and domain expertise, these are good to have, but like I said, I don't want to say, okay, these are mandatory to have. Because end of the day, it is about self-sufficiency, right? When you look at the founding team, so the team itself should be self-sufficient to run the business, as much as possible. 100% self-sufficiency is not possible, but to the extent possible. So these are three buckets. So I just want to repeat: operational skills, behavioral skills, and good to have. But having said that, one thing that precedes and preempts all these things is basically your common vision. So when you start, it is good to sit together and understand what do each of you want to accomplish from the startup. Say someone want to say exit in 5 years making a lot of money. Or for some guy, he wants to be on the Forbes whatever page. Okay, so someone wants to get maybe some Padma Shri. So these things should be aligned. So I'm telling you, otherwise your day-to-day things will go for a toss. I'll give you an example. So just 2 years after we started, so we got an acquisition offer from a very large company. So I think it was for almost 150 million or 200 million. So back then, we still, I think, we owned maybe 70% of the company. So we came from very humble backgrounds, okay? So just, divide how much we would have gotten from that acquisition. So it would be very tempting, right? So, so much money. But we didn't take that. And we had audacity to reject that because our vision is to build a big company, all three of us, not to make, maybe some money and leave it. So just assume, okay, one of us is not aligned to that. So it would have been a big fight, right? So forget about the acquisition. Probably, the company wouldn't be existing today. So that common vision, especially, very simple, okay? Ask yourselves, what do you want to accomplish from this company? So if there is a great mismatch, then I'm telling you it's a very, very big red flag. So that's pretty much it. I have time, then happy to answer if they have any questions. Otherwise, yeah, that's it, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for throwing light on a very key subject of building the right team, which is balanced with the right kind of co-founders. The points that you made, especially about a balanced temperament and a balanced energy level amongst the co-founders, was really relatable. Thank you so much. And like Maya Angelou once said, when we know better, we always do better with our teams and co-founders. Thank you once again. And now I would like to call upon the THub team to present a memento to Sir for having taken out time from his busy schedule and be here amongst us to give us this enlightening talk. Huge round of applause for Sir. Thank you so much.